Hello, in this video we're going to talk about something called the financial independence number. Now this is something that we've talked about in the financial world for decades. The financial independence number is the number that if you actually reach that amount of money, you're supposed to be able to have complete financial independence. So not only am I going to share with you how to calculate your financial independence number, but I'm actually going to show you a course to take to obtain your financial independence number. Now I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube about financial independence numbers, and quite frankly they stop at just how to calculate it. They don't necessarily tell you how to get to it or how quickly you need to get to it or what you need to do every month to be able to make sure you're on track to obtaining your financial independence number. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Your mindset changes everything. My name is Paris Clough and this is Financial Self-Reliance. If you've been here before, you know this is where we learn how to manage, protect, and grow our assets. If you're here for the first time, go ahead and hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the content that I produce on my channel. Now generically, financial independence means that you've accumulated enough money you can choose whether or not you continue to work because you no longer have to worry about money. Imagine what it would feel like if you didn't have to work anymore if you didn't want to. Put a comment below with how you think you'd feel if you didn't have to work anymore because you didn't have to worry about money. Alright, so let me share with you exactly how to calculate your financial independence number. I'm actually going to use a calculator in a minute, but I'd like to explain the concept of how to calculate your financial independence number first. So the first thing you're going to do in calculating your financial independence number is you're going to take your total expenses for the year. If you don't know your total expenses for the year, then the fastest way to do that is take your total expenses for the month and then multiply that by 12. What you're then going to do is take your total expenses and multiply that by 25. 25 times whatever you have as your expenses. So in this example, let's just say that your total household expenses are $50,000. Multiply that by 25 and that will get you your financial independence number. Based on that calculation, your financial independence number is $1,250,000. The reason why $1,250,000 is your financial independence number is because if you were to withdraw $50,000 a year, you would be able to do that into perpetuity. Studies have shown that if you were to take 4% of a total portfolio, like $1,250,000, which by the way, $1,250,000 times 0.04 is $50,000, which is your total expenses. And the reason why you want to take 4% is because that pays all your bills every year. You're literally letting your money pay for your bills. You don't have to work anymore to pay your bills because your money is now paying your bills for you. There was a study done that shows that if you were to take 4% of your portfolio each year, that you would never run out of money. Or at least you wouldn't run out of money for 30 years. Most people who retire at 65 aren't going to live to be 95, as the average life expectancy, at least in America, is 85 to 90 years old. However, there's a lot of people that want to retire early. Now, if you're going to retire in your 30s or 40s, you're probably going to be retired for longer than 30 years. So you may need to do some things to account for that, like start a side hustle or do something to help you produce or continue to produce more income so that your money lasts longer. Another thing to remember is that by the time you're 62 years old, you're probably going to start having Social Security. And the Social Security payment that you receive will help subsidize some of those expenses so that you don't have to pull as much out of your portfolio. Right now, this financial independence number is very popular amongst a community called the FIRE community. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. So the FIRE movement teaches this very thing. When you take your total expenses for the year, multiply that by 25, and then that's the number that you need to obtain in order to fully be financially independent. Well, how long is it going to take you to get to that number? Inflation is about 3%. And so by the time you actually get to that number, let's say it takes 10 or 20 years for you to obtain your financial independence number, by the time you get to that, your expenses, because of inflation, are going to be higher. So I'm going to share with you in my calculator how to account for inflation in determining your financial independence number, which is a very critical element and a critical piece that I think the FIRE movement may have missed. Let me ask you a question. At what age do you want to retire? I bet you're probably going to say tomorrow. Regardless of when you retire, the most important thing for you to do is to set your goal and then create a plan to obtain that goal. And I'm going to share with you in a minute a calculator that's going to help you know exactly what to do so that you can obtain your goal in the time frame that you want to obtain it. In my business, I work with a lot of senior citizens, and one of the things that I found is that their expenses don't really change that much once they get older. They just trade one expense for another. In many cases, that's a trading of an expense for children for an expense for healthcare needs. Because as you age, your health does get deteriorate, and things cost more money when you don't have as good a health as you used to. Another thing that's kind of interesting about being retired is that I chatted with a gentleman not too long ago who told me that he's more busy in retirement than he was when he was working. And he wonders how anybody has any time for a full-time job. He's doing a lot of projects and he's working with a lot of people and doing a lot of service. And so there's a lot of great things that you can do even when you're retired that do end up costing money. There's a lot of philanthropy and a lot of things that you can do to give to others. So make sure that you account for some of those things if you have that kind of a personality. Go ahead and click the like button if you're getting value out of this video so far. Now I'd like to share with you the calculator that I promised earlier in the video. Let's take a look.
Alright, so this is the calculator that I created many years ago to help my clients understand exactly what it takes to have enough money to retire on time and with enough money to make it last. So the first thing that I ask when I share with my clients this particular calculator is, what do you need today? Meaning, what do you need today to pay your bills? What are your expenses each month? And this is a monthly figure here. I know that in the financial independence number it says to calculate your annual, but in this particular calculator I do it based on your monthly expenses. So let's say that somebody needs $4,000 a month. Now if they were 25 years old today and they wanted to retire at age 65, that's 40 years that they have until retirement. Now based on inflation of 3%, which is, inflation has averaged between 2 and 4% for decades, maybe 1 to 4%. But inflation rate of 3% is a very reasonable rate of inflation. And even if we've overshot it, I'd rather have too much money than not enough. In 40 years, what $4,000 pays for in expenses today, you're going to need $13,048.15 to have the same buying power. That's a significant difference in understanding and knowing what it takes to really be able to retire and pay for your expenses. So if you take that total monthly amount, multiply that by 12, that means you're going to need $156,577.81 a year just to pay for your expenses. Multiply that by 25, and now you need $3.9 million that you're going to need to accumulate in order to get to your goal. Now, if you had a rate of return of 8%, and I'm going to share with you in a minute exactly how possible 8% is, it's completely possible. In fact, 8% is pretty balanced in a portfolio. Now, this is where most of the FIRE community stops. They just tell you exactly the dollar amount you're going to need in order to retire, and then they stop there. They don't share with you exactly what you're going to need to put away each month. They don't even share with you necessarily the interest rate that you're going to need to earn, the compounding effect of that interest rate and how that's going to help you. So according to this, you're going to need $1,100 a month to set aside in order to attain your goal. How many of you have an extra $1,100 right now? Now this is math. Unfortunately, I can't change math. But what I can do is give you a reality check as to what it really takes for you to obtain financial independence. So the first thing I want to share with you here on this page is, what is the average annual return for the S&P 500? As you'll see here, the average rate of return is 10 to 11%, and it has been from 1926 through 2018. That's almost 100 years that the S&P 500 has averaged and produced a return of 10 to 11%. Now from 1957 through 2018, when they added another 500 stocks, it's been 8%. So you can see 8% is possible. So let's say you're 25 years old today and you want to retire at age 40. Well, that's 15 years till retirement. So if you're living on $4,000 a month right now, in 15 years, it'll be $6,200 based on inflation. We're going to have a total annual income need of between $74,000 and $75,000. At 8%, you're going to need to put away $5,400 a month. Most people don't realize that if they retire early, all they have to do is put aside more money. This is why in the FIRE community, it says that you need to save at least 50% of your income or more. because that's the reality of what it really takes to get to a dollar amount of 1.8 million in a 15-year window. If you're earning 8%, you're going to need to have $5,400 a month putting towards your goal. Now, if your bills are only $2,000 or your expenses $2,000, you're going to need to put away $2,700 because according to inflation, in 15 years, that's $3,100. The main point in showing you this calculator is to show you the actual numbers that it takes to 1, find your financial independence number, and 2, what you actually need to put aside each month in order to obtain that goal. Now you know the importance of getting a raise at work, getting a side hustle, lowering your expenses, so you can save more of your income, or doing something that you need to do in order to earn enough money so that you can obtain your goal in the right amount of time. I think the biggest takeaway for this is knowing the exact numbers and knowing exactly what it takes to be able to obtain financial independence. Your biggest problem in saving for the future isn't reducing your expenses, although that's important. The biggest problem is that you're not making enough money. If you can learn to make more money and increase your cash flow, your positive cash flow, then you can save all of that additional income, or most of it, and hit your financial goals on time and probably early.
Another great way for you to begin your journey towards financial independence and obtaining your financial independence number is to go into the description below right now and click the link on the Webull account and open up a Webull account so you can get 2 free stocks. That's 2 free stocks to begin your journey towards financial independence. I know of no greater way to start your journey than to do it with 2 free stocks. I also have a link in the description that will take you to a survey that will share with you your wealth potential. It will ask you some questions, and then you'll be able to see what your wealth potential is. That link and that survey is based on the Millionaire Next Door and the research that went into what it really takes to become a millionaire. I highly recommend that you click that link and take that survey. Also in the description, there's a link to my free 30-day challenge. In this 30-day challenge, you're going to learn the first and most important step to obtaining financial independence and becoming financially self-reliant. I hope that you got a lot out of this video and that it was extremely valuable to you. I hope you now know and understand why you need to calculate your financial independence number and set that as a goal, and then create a plan so that you know exactly what to do every month to obtain your goal. A goal without a plan is basically a dream. So make sure that you set your goal, set your plan, and take action as soon as possible. The first thing that you can do to take action is click the subscribe button and watch the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.